number
We are back for episode
8.
8.
Yes,
Yes,
this is
which
going to
is
get
our
confusing.
topic of the month.
Topic of the month.
Yeah, that's the theme tune.
Yeah. Oh, God. I'll think of
Oh,
something better for next time.
yeah, that's all right.
That's all good.
Yeah, we're doing adaptations
Yes.
this week. We
So,
thought we'd have a little chitty chat about that.
yes. So it was weird when I think I sort of said to you this was something to look at because I'd been kind of mooching in the background of one that I wanted to talk about. But yeah, when I looked into it, a lot of just normal romance came in. The fantasy side wasn't really as
Mm,
represented. So you dive
yeah.
straight in and you obviously find your Bridgerton is like the
Mm-hmm.
big thing there. And when we were chatting in episode 6, 365 was one that came
Oh,
up quite a
yeah.
lot.
Oh, that was from a
And that
book,
was
wasn't it? Yeah.
yeah. And that was the thing that people know that I read a lot and that I write a bit. And that was it. Everybody then started coming up to me going, "Oh my God, have you seen 365?" And when you're on about the smut and
Yeah.
stuff, this was the thing that was drawing
Yeah.
everybody into
Yeah,
it and going,
yeah.
"Oh, I might have a look at the book now."
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, it was massively sold as that by Netflix. And it was just, yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I think there there's this idea that if something's popular as an adaptation and people are really interested in it and they go off and read the book, that it will create popularity within that genre. And I'm not sure it's necessarily happening like that because Bridgerton um created like an initial popularity in reading the Bridgerton books, but it
Yes,
doesn't
but
seem
it
because
didn't
obviously
span out.
historical romance is having a bit of a difficult time at the moment. Some of the authors are losing their contracts. I don't know whether that's just timing because of fantasy romance, and there's only so much time and money that can be spent to publish traditionally, isn't there? Like
Yeah.
they have to choose where to aim, and they're aiming with what's big at the moment. It's not necessarily a reflection of how many people out there are enjoying historical romance
Yeah.
because we know the boot was on the other foot only like 3, 4
Yeah,
years
it
ago.
wasn't long ago.
Yeah,
But yeah, so 365 was mafia based and that
yeah.
that didn't I mean I've read a chunk of it and it just seems to have sat it hasn't had a massive jump anywhere that I've seen, but
No, that this is it. Like it's really popular and the readers are
mm,
there, but it's kind of like the popularity is there. You just get an infusion of like extra interest. And I guess maybe only a certain percent of those stick around, and the rest who are people who are not necessarily readers just fall away again.
yeah, this is
Maybe
it. It's
that's
like,
the
oh,
thing.
actually, have
Yeah.
to put a bit more effort into that.
Yeah, that's a bit funny, isn't it? Like looking at it from the other perspective, because I was
Mm,
thinking all about adaptations about like from the book to the screen, but
yes.
that's like the opposite
Yeah, from the screen to the
relationship.
book. Yeah, yeah.
How does it boost? And, I think most authors would love to have an adaptation of their work, wouldn't they? But
Yes. Well,
to,
this is what it started me on. So, it's the we've mentioned it before, which is the J.R. Ward stuff, which is the Black
oh
Dagger
yeah, yeah.
Brotherhood.
Hmm.
So I fell into it from there, and I've been seeing. So I'm in a few groups seeing from the author's side and from the reader's side,
Mm.
and it's not out yet, and it's out as and when it gets dealt with in the future. But I've been seeing the author and how involved she's been made in it,
Yeah.
and the actors is the thing that I wanted to mention because every
Mm.
single one has gone so above and beyond what I would assume they
Right.
would to get into the role. And even though
Hmm.
I think filming finished whenever it did, they're still there chatting to the
Okay.
people and
Yeah,
involved,
yeah.
and they've read all the books and they're still kind of putting stuff of okay, if this was Fury, this is my Fury day, this is what I'm thinking with this, and
Oh, okay.
then there's a totally different side to it. So yeah, I would come in
Hmm.
and see okay, how have the bits in the book been added or taken away,
Mm.
and yeah, it's kind of to think that there's other people who've just kind of probably maybe weren't readers who actually really stepped up and got so
Yeah.
engrossed in the series. And it kind of blew me away a little bit. I don't know much about acting. I don't know if they all do that anyway, if it's just a big method thing and they all get
Don't know.
that
It must be
involved. But
weird, like having, I guess for them, there's there's an opportunity there, isn't there, in terms of knowing there's this fan base already that are
Mm.
really passionate about it. And it's like that can be a little bit, that must be a bit daunting, but at the same time, if they embrace it, then they're really gonna boost their own, I don't know, their own sort of
Well, I've seen
status
one of them
within
does a
acting and
podcast. One
stuff.
of the actors does a podcast. So if he wants to come and have a chat about it with
Yeah.
fantasy people, then come and give us a shout.
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
But
that's
yeah.
definitely a different angle, isn't it?
Mm. Well, this was it. It wouldn't have even entered, or it didn't enter my head at the time until I saw just how in depth they were going with it and how,
Yeah.
yeah, they were
Some of them
just chatting
do,
with the
don't
author
they?
and the readers as well. It's just kind of like, actually, yeah, that.
Maybe it depends on how much the production involves the author as well. So, like,
Well,
how true it's staying. Because obviously, some productions you don't even have the author
Well, no, this is
screenwriting
it.
or
They get the
advising.
rights and that's it, and they go with it. But no, I think J.R.
Yeah.
Ward's had a hell of a lot of input, and she's
Yeah.
been on the sets and stuff. So yeah,
I
it
mean, I
will
can
be.
imagine that it would. Why wouldn't you when it's something that is like there's so much world building and,
Mm.
like the length of it and the amount of characters and stuff. Like, why would you not just have the expert to there to
Yeah, what
advise
I was
you
going to say, yeah,
in the quickest
you've got this
way?
idea in your head. Let's please
Hmm.
just withdraw it and put it onto here.
Mm. And I have to
And
say, I
it's,
do think I'm I'm very on the fence. I've mentioned that before about like adaptations of books that I enjoy.
hmm
Like, I understand that they're not really going to turn out necessarily the way that the book is. Like, it's a separate thing for me. That's okay. Um, because like you can watch them, and I don't always think that romance novels work very well on the screen because of the nature of how romance is very in the head.
yes,
Like you're very much understanding the thoughts and the feelings, and for it to work on a screen, they've got to really work something well for you to
yeah,
buy
to
into it in the
portray
same
that.
way.
Mm.
Yeah. Um, I feel like romantic films work better if they're just written straight for screen. They
Yes,
really, really work. But maybe things that do work better are like series like Bridgerton's done, which have bigger worlds and lots of characters so that you can get to know them
yes.
incidentally through other things and other actions. So it's not all crammed in to
Yeah, so
like
it's not a
a
two
movie
hours. You've got
length.
like eight
Yeah.
hours worth of stuff, which,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think so. And there's just so much within like fantasy romance that would be ripe for that,
hmm
Like,
Well, yeah, I went through a list of things. So I knew some stuff that was coming. So
yeah.
Quicksilver is the big one that I
Oh,
saw that was
okay.
being picked. So Netflix picked that up.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I've not read it yet. I've
No,
held
I've not
back because
either.
I know how long that series is probably maybe going to end up when it comes to fantasy
Okay.
books.
Hmm.
It might not, but yeah, my brain is saying it is kind of
Yeah.
going to be a bigger thing. But somebody's picked up Fourth Wing. Somebody
Oh, have they?
so so
Hmm.
MGM, which is now Amazon owned.
Okay. Oh my
Yeah,
God,
MGM's
really?
now owned by
Wow.
Amazon. Oh my
Disney
God,
and Amazon are just, they run
taking over the
everything, don't they?
world.
Yeah.
Mhm. We'll have ears on the next one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they have taken on Fourth Wing, and somebody tried to take Akatar, but it looks like they're pulling out.
Yeah, looks like it's not happening, doesn't it? Yeah,
Mm.
I heard that as well. But I can kind of, I think I think it would be a nightmare trying to make one of those
I
because,
think, yeah, well, as we've seen with this, so if you don't know who Pete Steele is, go and have a look who Pete Steele is.
okay.
Be aware, every photo you find will be not safe for work, I think
Right.
pretty quickly, because he
Hmm.
did a thing for Playboy many years ago for
All right.
obvious reasons. He's passed away now, but yeah, he was in a band and he's fantastic. But yeah, I think he was the idea for Wrath in the first book.
Okay.
And
Hmm.
everybody had that idea of him, and he
Yeah,
was
yeah.
massive and really buff. So yeah, to try and get that out of your head and get somebody else in, people were kind of, before the
Yeah.
act was cast, they were like, oh, Jesus, where's this going to go? How are you going to do it? And you have then that fan base who
Yeah.
have this idea in their head, and you need to
I
try and
think that's it,
persuade
isn't
them
it?
onto another thing. So if you don't get Reese right, you are in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be the
Yeah.
thing. Just,
And I think there's a good argument for doing animated series of
mm.
stuff like that
Oh, anime would be
because
fantastic.
I mean, like if you think of something like the level of Arcane, have you watched the Arcane
I
series?
have not, but I know of it.
Yeah, like if you had the beautiful kind of computer generated animation that's in that, but it's all, it's not just trying to make it look realistic. It's so stylized and awesome, and I think that would kind of help bypass some of that problem
Mm.
and take away some of the pressure as well, I think, from like actors and stuff
Yeah.
for not meeting up to people like people randomly hating you because you were cast in a
Yeah, because
role
you,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
paid for it,
This is it. Yeah. Well, I didn't know who the thing was, and he's made up, so I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but
And I
yeah, this
think
is it. I
you
think
could like the magic and all of these things could like really
it'd be
come across
much easier
well,
to,
wouldn't it?
yeah,
Yeah. I
to
mean, they
bring
can do
forth.
amazing things with live action, with, special effects. I'm not saying they couldn't do it and it'd look awesome, but I just think there's a great opportunity there for different stuff because people are open to that. And it'd be the same with like a lot of the cozy whimsical stuff that's kind of out there as well that's popular in books. I think they'd, you know, being able to get that vibe in an animated series, I can
It would
imagine a
be
lot of
cool to
people would
see.
really love escaping into something like that. Because I don't know if like the Lord of the Rings, before Peter Jackson did the big blockbusters,
Hmm.
that there was an animation of it.
Oh, was
Like,
there?
yeah, there
There's been
was,
one since, hasn't there?
which was really, really popular. I don't know. Has there been
I'm
an
sure I've
animation
seen
on it?
one. I'm sure I've
Oh,
seen one
okay.
after.
But it was like, I don't know when it came out. Maybe in the 80s or the late
Maybe I was going to say
70s or
maybe I'm
something.
crossing the two over then and saw it, but yeah, I remember seeing something. I
But
thought it
that
was more
was like
recent.
really beloved, and you
Yeah,
could, get that vibe going as well. That would be pretty cool, I think.
yeah.
Not to mention all the artists that you could give someone,
Well, yeah, yeah.
you know.
Did you see, weirdly on the back of that, did you see the thing on the front of all the newspapers over here about the AI being?
No, I don't look at newspapers,
Oh, no,
but
I
what
don't read
was
the
it?
papers either, but no, loads of people, loads of creatives put in, and on like the front of like 8 or 9 newspapers, it was like, yeah, please stop with the AI, use it for the right thing. And I
Oh,
thought,
I
actually,
know.
that's quite good.
It is, yeah. It does need to be used for things that are better than
Yeah, better
taking
use for
work
than,
away from,
yeah,
yeah, humans trying to create art. Is that like that's kind of the point, isn't it? It's
yeah.
like art is about the human experience, not just about regurgitating stuff that
Well, it becomes so formulaic if you tell if the computer tells you what it's supposed to look like. But yes,
okay.
so but yeah, I
Yes.
did find again, I don't know how true it is. Legendborn might also
Oh
be on
yeah.
the YA side of things, and
Yeah, yeah.
Lightlark might also be
Have you read
getting.
that one, Light Lark?
I've not. No, I did something that. Oh, I did something. I can't remember what it was called, and it really frustrated me. 'Cause it was like a reincarnation-y thing, and they died in one book. And I think I messaged you when I was getting in the bath, and I was just so frustrated.
Just
Going, but they're dead. And I messaged you when I got in the bath to just sit and waste away my thoughts.
it's
But yeah,
hard.
no, I've not. But they again, they're YAs on my list of
Yeah.
things, but they need a time. YAs do.
That's also one of the things that I think is tricky and how animation can kind of bypass the trickiness of that in that casting age appropriate people in some stuff,
Mm.
particularly when it's a character that a lot of people are thirsting over, but it like the
Yeah,
actor may
it
not
will be weird.
be
Mm. Well,
appropriate age
we've
for
said before,
this
haven't we?
going on, you know.
When I read the books, if it's a college-based thing, my brain doesn't take them as
This
19.
is
It
it.
adds many
Yeah,
years
yeah,
because,
yeah.
yeah, I can't. It's weird
Well,
for me.
often they're not written necessarily that way, but
No.
like, you know, with YA, I think it's different because if it's a YA book and you're casting a young, normally the actors will be older than
Hmm.
the character that they're playing. But it's still like it's a teenage character and
Yeah,
it's
it's the portrayal that they.
first and foremost, it should be appealing to young adults.
Well,
So
this is
that's
it.
all
Yeah,
cool.
my nearly 15-year-old will enjoy that, and it needs to
Yeah. Oh,
be in
yeah,
that
yeah,
right place for
definitely.
it.
Hmm.
But then there's the
Yeah.
YANA crossover as
It's
well.
the
That's
NA
tricky,
crossover that
tricky.
gets tricky. Yeah, particularly with Akatar, isn't it? And then like you'll talk about characters that are actually hundreds of years old, but then
Mm. But they're really
they
not.
don't look that way necessarily, and everybody wants to cast Henry Cavill, and it's like he's really quite old now for doing roles that
Bless
are
him. Yeah,
meant to be
he's
younger. I mean, I'm
yeah.
sure yeah,
He
no.
could, but well,
Yeah,
there's going to
this
be a
is
new
it.
brood coming.
He
Where are
can't play
those?
every character as well.
No, he can't. What do you think
Everybody
I am?
tries to.
Superman?
Oh yeah.
Damn it.
No, The Witch is much better. Grey and grumbly.
Crowley.
Yeah, exactly. Much more appealing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that's kind of a way around it, I guess. Are there any other like series that you would like to see adapted?
You see, I'd always go back to my Cresley Cole. When we've been speaking
Yeah.
about Clay Pass, I would have preferred
Hmm.
historical being Clay Pass rather than Bridgerton, just for my own
Yeah.
personal. Yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, Cresley Cole stuff would be fun. But yeah,
Yeah, it
nothing.
would.
I don't know.
I think same. I'd go with
I'd
or
want
like
big
Nalini
epic.
Singh
Yeah,
or
all the
something.
yeah, yeah. To see a Caleb sort of type thing brought to life would be
And I think you
fantastic.
could probably do it really well now as well, even though it's like sci stuff. I mean, there's so many
Mm,
like films that can manage to work on that, and like it would probably really help in some ways, like getting an idea and visualizing if they were to get her to work with them on it,
yes,
in terms of visualizing the net and looking, like imagine seeing scenes like when
yes.
they're
Of what
in
the
the
sign
net.
letters. This is
Yeah,
it. As you said, some people have the perception in their head. I would really look forward to seeing what the
yeah.
author actually wanted it to be like.
Yeah, it would
That would
be
be.
very good. Yeah.
Mm,
And sometimes I think because I don't mind and I like separating stuff out and I can kind of see, well, this wouldn't necessarily work on film. I think there's some stuff that a film can do or like a series can do which extrapolates like more from it. I
mm.
remember like The Hunger Games is probably one of my favorite adaptations that's been done, like the first
Okay.
film. I think a lot of people feel like it was done pretty well. There's lots of people that complain, oh, they didn't do this and they didn't do that. And it's like they've only
Yeah,
got
you're
so much
never gonna.
space,
Yeah.
like we were saying. But I remember, spoilers if you haven't read The Hunger Games, it's been out a long time.
Oh, and
But
Joffrey dies.
yeah, yeah. Just in case you haven't heard. Um, there's in the film, when Rue dies, you get this flashback to her district, and it's something you can't see that in the book because
No.
it's first person and you're in Katniss Katniss's perspective, and
Hmm.
it's all, she's just in there. She doesn't know what's going on outside, and that's something you get an opportunity for in
Yeah, yeah.
film. You were able to see the riot going on outside and get this idea of how she was affecting things on a
Yeah,
bigger scale, and that was
elsewhere.
like one of the most moving parts of it, because that's a really upsetting bit of it. And it it like increased that even more because of the form, I guess. It
Yeah.
was able to do that. Yeah.
See, on the back of that, it's then seeing them put an actor like Stanley Tucci into one of those roles and seeing
So good.
what, yeah,
Yeah.
that character he was quite flamboyant within the books, but then to blow it up and what he did, it was phenomenal to watch him.
Yeah, yeah.
Really
And
was.
I think is it what was the the name is it Effie that
Oh
or
yeah, the with the hair, with the big hair and all the
yeah,
makeup.
and I
Yes,
think the actor did a really amazing job of
yes.
making
God,
her
what is her name? I do.
sympathetic. Elizabeth
Yes,
Banks, is it?
yes, yes. I think
Yeah.
you're right. Pitch
Um,
Perfect lady.
yeah, she did. She
Mm,
did such a great job of being comical, but also having this like you could see more that
yeah.
was going on, this kind of regret and, yeah, how she was trying to help them. It was, yeah, that is a really good adaptation. I do enjoy that
Mm.
one, definitely. Um, I like the first Twilight film as well in terms
I
of
was
an
going to say, yeah.
adaptation.
When you look at it, yeah, I really enjoyed it as well. Maybe it needed to be at the place and the time. I've not watched it for a long time, so
Yeah,
maybe if I
yeah.
pull up with the kids and sit and watch it, I can.
I think it's one of those like I think it's one of those things that it's it the first film more than the other films I can take or leave kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the first one they went in hard on the vibe of what you
Yes.
enjoyed from it like when you got into the Twilight book and it was just like whatever it was that made everyone really enjoy that because we know there's problems with
Mm.
it but um I think it did that really well. It really got that like teenagery
Yeah, the
kind of
angsty
feel and
moments and yeah,
it had much more of an indie film feel to it and I think it
yeah.
it worked for it. It's just
I
yeah.
I think the thing that really did it was the three vampires at the end. I can't remember their names, but
Oh
the
yeah.
two dudes and the woman, they
It's
were just.
James
Is it a
and
James and Lauren? I don't
Laurent,
know.
yeah,
Yeah,
something
the
like that.
French sounding dude
I
and the woman.
can't
No,
remember
but
the
just
woman's
those
name.
three at the end with the obviously not that memorable, but yeah, just
Yeah, yeah,
the imagery of them coming through and just yeah,
yeah.
they were very good.
And so much of that has become part of like what fans think of rather
Mm,
than in the like the spider monkey bit. Obviously,
yeah,
that's not in the books,
no,
but people think of the like to the
yeah,
point of I
yeah.
realized when we were talking about that Lego set the other day, they put them up the tree, didn't
Oh, did
they?
they?
Doing the spider like the image of the Lego set, they have them up the
Up in the
tree.
top of the
And
tree.
it's like, yeah.
It
So
did.
they it like creates a whole other level of fan and understanding, I guess. You were
Yeah.
talking about Muppet Christmas Carol earlier as well,
Yes, I
weren't
was
we? About
with
how
the
you
kids'
have to be
English teacher
careful.
at
Yeah.
GCSE. Yes,
Yeah. Not to cross the streams about what is
yeah,
canon and what becomes like
yeah.
the
What will
film
get you?
canon.
What
Yeah.
will get you your film, your GCSE in English, and what will get you failed? Like
Yeah.
the lamp, not the rat, was the quote that I used.
Exactly. Yes. But I remember there was someone before Christmas who was talking about A Christmas Carol and they'd slipped up and written the Marleys were dead to begin with. And like everybody rose up and like, oh, so you haven't read the
Yeah.
book. He was making out like he'd read the book and it was like, you haven't read the
No,
book.
you've
You've watched
not.
Muppet Christmas Carol because there's not two Marleys.
No, there's only the one. But this is it. Me and
But
Rob were
it's the
talking
better
about
version
it.
anyway.
Yeah, and it's like which one is the Marley? Is it Jacob or is it Robert? We can't we couldn't for the life of
Jacob.
us. Yeah,
Yeah,
we could
Jacob's the one.
there was
Robert
there
Marley
was
is Bob Marley, isn't it?
yeah, Bob Marley, that makes more sense. But this
Yeah.
was it. We're kind of just it's so much in there that
Yeah.
which one's
What's
the
real
actual
and what's
one?
not? I'm trying
Yeah.
to understand. Yeah. Um, the only other problem with adaptations is like whether they continue them or not. Because
Oh, one series and done, that would.
there was recently, and I think this had bypassed you, but there was Lady Jane, which
Yes, you were
was
saying about it.
yeah,
It's
it
not
was
hit
on
my radar.
Prime and it was adapted from I think it was a YA novel. I'm not sure. I think it's NA. I think it was in that grey period of, when NA was not necessarily being embraced. Um, and it was really good. It's, the story of an alternative history of Jane Grey in an England which also has shifters, and there being a war between these shifters, and it's Edward Henry VIII's son has lived to an older age. He's like an adult in it. Um, but he's still ill and again she ends up on the throne. But she's made to marry someone. that she doesn't want to, but they like strike up this bargain because he's a shifter and he doesn't want to be, and she's bookish, and it's like it hits a lot of things that if you're a fantasy romance reader, you're going to love. Like the banter between them, and there's knives to the throat, and there's, like
That there would
it's.
have been a mine had you kept it going.
And then you get like the genuine romance between them, but then they're still torn, and then she's the queen, and then he's going to get found out. And it's like, it was really, really, really good and entertaining and funny as well.
Oh, and
Um,
it's no.
and then they not doing the second season. Now, I feel like I got what I wanted from the first season, and I haven't
Okay.
read the books. So I'm not like, oh no, there's not going to be a second season. But a lot of people are absolutely gutted that it's not continuing, because there must be other characters and things maybe they're attached to that they want to see their
That they wanted to
storylines
see
play
theirs.
out.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's always that risk too, isn't there, with the adaptations?
I don't know. Maybe this is it. I don't get into things that much. I think we have Prime somewhere still. I'm sure in the ether.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it doesn't hit my radar, it just kind of does fall off. So maybe
Yeah.
publicize it more. But I probably still wouldn't see it then anyway, would I?
Yeah, that's it. If you spend more time on social media, you end up hearing about stuff, don't you?
Yeah,
A
this
lot.
is
But
it.
you're good. You don't spend all your time wasting,
Yeah,
procrastinating your time on social
yeah.
media.
Well, I probably do more than I should still. It's an evil,
It's like
necessary evil.
the more you try to do the promotion and the marketing, the more you get sucked into it,
To
don't
to
you?
the vacuum it is. Yes.
Yeah, that's the problem, because then you have to
Mm.
go on to check and, how's the post doing and whatever. And then you're like, oh, well, oh, an hour just slipped by
Yeah,
while I
just been
was,
gone.
yeah,
Mm.
doing this, that, and the other. So, yeah, I guess that's everything I've
Yep, yep.
think of about adaptations, really. Yeah, I can't think of anything else that I really. What else? Oh, maybe some sci-fi ones would be cool as well. As that, like, I went through, that was what I did. I went through like books we've talked about on the podcast, or ones that I've read over the last couple of years, thinking
Hmm.
what ones would be good. And like the Winter's Orbit ones and like Fiasco that I read, they would probably be cool because they've got like so many different settings, kind of like the big
Yes.
worlds of Nalini Singh as well, and Cresley Cole. And you've got lots of different places and lots of different cultures and technology. They would be really, really
Yeah,
fun
yeah.
to
It's
see.
interesting to see how it works.
Yeah, definitely. Hmm. So, are we good? We're good for
I
adaptations.
think I think we are, yes. So
Nice. Um, yeah. So next week it's going to be April, which is weird because we're not recording this when next week is going to be
no, no, we're
April.
not.
We're lying, but we're pretending that we're
Yeah,
not lying.
we're lying. We're not.
Yeah. Um, And we'll be having another guest on with us,
Hmm.
which will be Ali Williams, to talk about Nix and Tell, her latest
Yes.
release. Um, yeah, so join us then.
Yep, yep. Have a lovely
Thank you.
one till then.
Bye.
Bye.